have three great panelists to talk about how do you drive ESG and how do you think about leadership, perspective, and how to deploy capital.
I think that how we see ESG, it's become part of the fabric of a company that is trying to help people with their financial lives. We think about our employee practices, $15 minimum, maternity, paternity, making sure that LGBT community feels completely comfortable. But also just on business, it's part of the risk framework. What kind of business will we do and what kind of business won't we do?
There are great companies that have been integrating ESG into their framework, into their DNA, but there are other companies where I think investors have said, no more, it's not okay. But what's changed is the large asset managers underneath those institutions are willing to come forward and be stronger advocates on behalf of social stewardship and environmental stewardship, and they're not going to be silent anymore. I think they feel that we have a higher duty of care in society and in civil society and communities.
Companies have to operate in guardrails of acceptable behavior to the marketplace. And it will be adjudicated by the consumer or the regulator or both. And because information is now readily available, if you're running money or you're running a company and you're not paying attention to how the marketplace is perceiving you, your cost of capital is going to be uncompetitive and your stock is going to underperform.
To push back on this idea of radical transparency, how good are the metrics to prove that actually things are being run in a different way?
There are questions to ask to figure this out. Tell me about your sustainability officer. Where do they sit in the building? Who do they interface with? How often do they meet with the board? And then I would ask, tell me the stakeholder groups that are included in that conversation. You're going to need to see civil society, you're going to need to see some academics, you're going to need to see people who really understand the impacts on the supply chain and maybe indigenous peoples in emerging markets. There are challenges with the frameworks, but they're getting better.
I fear that what some people in the room are thinking is, this just sounds like a big bureaucratic morass, and it isn't. So we have been able to do it, make more money. I think that it has had a positive effect.
I do see companies asking the questions. They are reflecting on the available information. They're cognizant that the impact on their capital costs will be influenced if they're on the wrong side of these guardrails of conduct. And so I think more and more of them acknowledge that they need to understand those issues and start addressing them. Are we in the ninth inning of this? No. Are we in the first inning? Probably. But I think the genie's out of the bottle, and the capital markets will provide this discipline over time.
3 or 4 years ago, we talked about ESG, but it was considered part of the coffee break. Today, they have people that are in the room. It is very much a part of the conversation. It's expected, and you're expected to demonstrate metrics in terms of your business, your practices, how you're doing with any one of these third-party evaluators, and how you see it helping the company in very fundamental, practical ways.